Hi everyone, this is Kushbu,
And this is Pritika.
and welcome to Browned Off by Society, the podcast. We are two opinionated brown girls who like to talk about society and the ways it has pissed us off.
So I came across this article the other day. It was about from a girl, 26-year-old, same age as me, and she was talking about how her school didn't do justice or
Yeah.
didn't provide her proper sex education, and that she had to make multiple mistakes throughout the years, and she still does feel like she's learning every day or every now and then,
Yeah.
which she could have learned in school and would have helped her
Yeah.
have healthy relationship with herself and with the opposite gender and understanding how everything works. So, and because we were in the same age, I kind of reflected on that, like that's so true. Like, maybe she received a little bit more than me, but my education wasn't even a sex education. It was just period education, and which was not even good enough. So it was, I felt like,
I think that's the thing with everybody who um, studies in South Asia.
yeah, I feel like the school doesn't do justice or doesn't provide or make kids ready for that aspect of their
Yeah,
life, and I don't know what they
definitely.
expect. I don't like internet came recently. I don't even know how they did before the internet. Like today people can actually like google it and like what's this and what's that. Like, but sex education is, we're not, I think this is a misconception. I think that's why there is also this taboo and people don't talk about it, is they don't teach you how to have sex. Actually, that's not sex education. Sex education is teaching them about like the no, like your gender identity, gender sensitivity, contraception, then sexual transmitted diseases, sexual problems, like a healthy, um, how to build a healthy relationship with yourself, like your private parts and things like that, and which will help you kind of discover yourself. It's a part of discovering yourself. But I think people and even teachers who teach, they are not like specialized, or they are not like given training on how to teach this to kids sensitively, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just a biology teacher, she's like, oh yeah, teach kids something, because that's one of our responsibility. And yeah, and then she teaches you the minimum. So what was yours like? What was your
Yeah.
experience in your school?
Honestly, I don't even remember my like what they taught. I just remember one funny part
Yeah.
where so ours was a guy. I know, I just remember the part where he takes a rubber band and then he like stretches it and then shows like, oh, this is like how the vagina works and the womb, and it can like stretch up to like a watermelon size, or yeah, it can like stretch like this. And then he was like stretching the rubber band and felt so awkward. I just remember
That's
that
so
part.
weird. So he told you about your
Yeah.
uterus and like how it expands and stuff, but not like all the other things, at
No,
least.
I guess like
I don't know.
most sex education back home, it's more about like these are the parts of a woman's reproductive system. These are the parts of man's reproductive system, and that's all.
Okay, let me ask you, were you in a co-ed education, like co-ed, like a boy and a girl school, or just a girl school?
Um, till grade 7, I was in a girls' school,
Okay.
and then I went to a co-ed school. So
And the
yeah,
sex education happened in which class, like which grade?
the co-ed one.
Okay, so after your seventh
So
grade. So I remember
Yeah. It was probably like 9.
because in ninth I remember, so in ninth in my school you get physics, chemistry, bio, and in the bio notebook it has one chapter, reproductive system, and it has like a penis drawn, like a diagram drawn on it, and like the period, like the whole thing, like the 28-day cycle, like a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
explanation, and everyone is like, this week teacher will teach us this, and like hee hee ha ha, like which week, like like they're they're like ooh, like, it's like all giggly and stuff in the class, and it's not even sex education. They don't even teach you how all of this work, even though by ninth grade a lot of kids figure out. I think half the class knows what actually happens because of all these internet access. They're just diagrams. They don't teach you anything. They just teach you, okay, this is the diagram.
Yeah.
And I think I remember our teacher went through it so fast. She just like, oh yeah, this part will only come in the, this is the only part that will come in the exam. She taught us that, and like just brushed through it. But she didn't like explain because I think she was awkward. She was feeling awkward as well. Like it was a very
Yeah.
weird. I think we were also like all giggly, and dude,
Wait, were you in a co-ed school?
I was in a co-ed school from start.
Oh,
But
okay,
I tell you
okay.
what, so
Yeah.
for the sex education, so I never received sex education in school. Simple. But I did receive that period talk. And
Yeah.
for that, they actually took all the girls from the class to a separate room, which I hated. So they called all
Yeah.
the girls from one grade, and they want to talk
Yeah.
separately with them. Like, this is your period, you'll bleed. This is a pad. You put this on like this, and nothing much. They don't even tell you the options. They don't tell you about pregnancy. And even afterwards, I think I had like two meetings of this kind. One was in grade 8th, and it was so weird. They gave each of us one pad as a as a token. As a token. And then all these girls are like coming back to their class, hiding it in their skirts, or if they don't have a pocket or whatever. And it's so weird. And the boys are like, what did you guys talk about? What did you guys talk about? And it's like so awkward. Like, wait, don't ask me. But there's obviously some girl or someone's elder sister will tell you like, oh yeah, we talked about this, and they get to know. Yeah. And it's never hidden. Nobody's hiding that kind of information. But still never a sex education about like contraceptives or how to keep yourself healthy, clean, what is your body parts, what happens to the other sex. And even boys are not included in this talk, like the period talk. And I feel like boys should be included because both genders need to understand what they're going through, the changes, so they can be more sensitive towards them. And yeah, that's what I feel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wait, so everything was included in science? Like there was no other subject
No.
about
No.
story? Oh, okay.
So
So we had this subject called environment, population, and health, and that was different from science.
Oh yeah.
So it's all about doing with like environment and the population and the health, of course. And I guess like we went more into a little bit of reproductive health as well.
Yeah.
Like all the diseases, what happens if you don't use protection and stuff like that. And never the types of protection, I don't think there was like types of protection, but what are the diseases that could happen if you don't use it, like I don't know, chlamydia, blah blah blah, what's the side effects, symptoms, all of that.
So they may have mentioned like a condom, maybe like a condom, but I tell you they hadn't. But I tell you they must have not mentioned it that many times, because one day I was watching television and there was an ad, and the guy was wearing a shirt saying always wear condom or always use condom or something like that. And
Yeah.
I asked my mom, like, Mom, what is a condom? And my mom explained it to me, and she felt awkward. But that's the time I didn't have a phone. Okay, it was still early with the mobile and the internet thing. So yeah, like they didn't mention it for that long. And I wish, they
Yeah.
would demonstrate that in a class. Like, okay, so this is how a
Yes,
condom
yes.
looks like
Yeah.
and this is how it looks outside of the packet and this is how you put it on, or like something like,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
everyone need to figure it out themselves, like what the fuck is a condom.
I mean, it's important to like teach children like there are these contraceptions, but it's also important to teach them how it works.
Yeah, like people, there is a people Google should they use two condoms, and you know two condom is bad because it is more resistant and it can burst. You need to only
Yeah.
put one so it's
Yeah.
flexible and it doesn't burst inside. So
Yeah.
like you need to teach these things to kids, like, because kids
Yeah.
can be like, oh, it's better to wear two rather than one, but actually it's worse, like it's
like double
it's bad.
protection.
Like double protection. Yeah, it's just stick to one and just you'll be safe, and just buy a good one, don't use an expired one, stuff like that. When we're talking about condoms, like with the contraceptive options, so even like diseases that girls have with enema, which is like less hemoglobin. I
Yeah.
have that, and I didn't know it existed. So a very nice doctor, her daughter studied in my class, and she's a very good gynecologist in our city. So she came to our school and got all the girls like of her grade tested of their hemoglobin level, and whoever had a lower or a borderline hemoglobin level, she talked to them like, hey, you are anemic, these are the medicines you need to take, and she gave like 10 tablets or something to us to take. And yeah, so she
Yeah.
kind of educated the girls, make them aware that hemoglobin level is very important, and why is it important, and it's more important in girls because of pregnancies, and that you need a healthy level to carry a child and other stuff as well. Of course, as a healthy human, you do need a
Yeah.
good level of hemoglobin, but because of your anemic, it happens in vegetarian people a lot because we don't get enough of B12 and blah blah blah. But still something to be aware of, something to be taught to future generation, to be taking care, getting your hemoglobin checked regularly every 6 months or so, or something like that. So yeah, so I feel like education, when we talk about sex education, it's talking about everything to be related to your privates, to dealing with opposite sex, to keeping yourself safe.
Like it's also about LGBTQ
Oh yes,
people, like different
yeah,
sexualities
because
and
people
stuff like that.
don't talk about sexuality, like the title, like the names in general in India. Like you are a girl and you're a guy based on your privates, that's pretty much it. And you are supposed to love or be with someone of opposite sex. That's it. Like opposite gender,
yeah.
yeah. And that's it, and nobody talks about it. I don't think nobody even thinks to talk about it because there's nothing to talk about it. Like that's where schools can come in because they have more education. I went to a English medium school. They tend to be more progressive in nature than a Hindi medium or a government
Yeah.
school. And you expect a English
Yeah.
medium school to teach you about LGBTQ, about you don't have to love opposite sex, and maybe you don't have to love anyone. You don't have to have sex ever. You can be, are they're called asexuals. Yeah, you can be an asexual. You don't want to have with someone, or you can
Yeah.
you can have sex with or fell in love with anyone. You can be a pansexual, and all these terms are not taught properly. So I met a friend, love her, and I was talking to her, and she had a misconception where gay men can't have kids and stuff, and that's when I get like so angry. Like, why aren't we actively showing people or teaching people that they can't avoid these things? Like, gay people are just normal guys who just love other men. They can have there's nothing else different in their body. It's just genetically, like, they are function to love other men. That's all that is. It's not a
Yeah.
or it's not like she thought
Yeah.
it was a disease or whatever, but she didn't understand what gay meant or what other LGBTQ means. And I felt so disappointed in our system that way. How are you shielded
Yeah.
like with this? And it just boggles my mind. But yeah.
So what happens like when you teach like sex education properly, which includes all these like LGBTQ and reproductive health and human anatomy, all of
Yeah.
that stuff? First of all, it helps with all of us like appreciating sexual diversity. That would mean like we would be less homophobic,
Yeah.
or there would be less bullying,
Yeah.
because we won't see LGBTQ people as different than us.
Yeah.
We would see like they would be like one of us, you know, like type, rather than like something different.
Because at school we see our teachers as authority. If they are normalizing it, it kind of
Yeah.
trickles down to students as well. Of course, there will be still some
Yeah,
homophobic
definitely.
kids from their parents, but it will still make some kids question their thinking, and it will trickle down the society in whole, because a teacher said it who's a grown up and she knows more than you, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
maybe some kids would go home and have conversation with their parents, like, hey, we studied this today, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and kind of like help their parents open up as well, like working both ways. Yeah.
To be honest, it can go both ways. Like, some parents would like want to listen,
Yeah.
or they would educate their kids more, but some parents like, what are you teaching my
Yeah.
kids?
Kind of like oppose
Yeah.
sex education
Yeah.
in general, because like they think this is not right.
Yeah.
And another thing, it also, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was doing some research like when we said we would record about this, and it also includes like violence
Yeah.
prevention. So everything they should like teach, like consent,
yeah.
about consent and sexual violence and stuff. And I didn't know it would come under sex
Yeah.
education, but it does. If it was taught, then a child knows like what is good and what is bad touch, and they know like if this is bad touch, then they should like stop it.
Yeah.
Like it's not good.
Yeah.
Because some, like most of the children, especially girls, they don't know what bad touch is.
Yeah.
And if an uncle or someone is like touching her, and she wouldn't know what to say or what to do.
Yeah, like simple as like sitting on the lap. You know how, when you're little, people put you on their lap, and that's just the normal thing to do. But you need to kind of make kids after one age realize no one can just pick you up and put them on your lap. Like,
Yeah.
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 So, like small actions like holding or even touching them. After one age, it's not acceptable. It does not matter who it is.
Yeah.
Be it your uncle, your grandparents, your anyone, they can't touch you if you don't want them to. And if you say no, they should
Yeah.
stop. So like that kind of thing. I think consent is a big part of even touching you. Like, not having sex, consent just to hold your hand. Like, people need to understand when people talk about you need to have consent to have sex or anything. Consent starts from even holding your hand or touching you anyway. If you don't give consent of that to anyone, he can't do that to you. So he or she or anyone can't do that to you.
I mean, not
Like,
even that. Like consent could go even further. I was like listening to this podcast. I don't remember which one, but it's also about like asking someone, like suppose if this person is in his room and knocking on the door asking to come in, and that's also like consent, like
Yeah.
saying yes and then coming
coming in. That's
like it
that's so
goes
true.
down to like
That's
small
so true.
yeah part like that.
That's so true.
It's not always about like sexual things.
Yeah.
It's more also about like the society in general as well.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, even for guys, like we are talking about the girl's perspective about consent and like periods and keeping herself safe. Even for guys, sex education doesn't come from a very reliable source sometimes. Like now girls and boys equally have access to porn. Like it's a very ugly truth,
Yeah.
but it is true. A lot of starting education is received from porn, like sex stuff, not a not sex
Yeah,
education.
definitely. I mean, if parents aren't educating their kids or they're not being taught in school and it's a part of your body, they will learn like sex from somewhere else. And where would that be? That would be, of course, from porn because it's readily
Well, you
available.
know how when everyone says it's bad, you wanna see it more because everyone is like, it's a when all school is like, this is bad, like no, 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 and your parents are like, no, 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 shoo,
Yeah.
shoo, shoo, and then you're like, what is it? I want to see it. Like I want to see it.
Mm,
What's in it? Why are they stopping me to do it? And you want to see it more. So
yeah.
my thing is, because it's not comfortable, I get, my parents are traditional. I get they will be shy to talk about it, but
Yeah.
in a English medium school and where education is given freely and blah blah blah, if you are saying sex is something that I need to be shy about, or my private should be something I should be like, shush shush about, it makes me kind of uncomfortable with my
Mm,
own sexuality. Like,
yeah.
when they talk weird about your breasts would grow or something, and of course guys are looking, you are growing, I get it, like the teenage hormones and everything is there, I understand, you need to be careful and stuff, but you need a good guidance for that, because some girls
Yeah.
try to hide their bodies with like baggy clothes or something because they hate the attraction they're getting,
Mm,
and they feel that that is something to be ashamed about,
mm,
where it is not. Like they should be proud of what they are.
mm. I mean, it starts from a small age.
Yeah.
Like, uh, like people were saying how like when they're kids and then like ears or eyes, like when they touch, oh, what's this, like it's
Yeah.
ears, it's this eyes, and when they touch their privates, parents are like, oh, no,
Don't
no,
touch
no,
it.
don't touch it,
Yeah.
like, or something like
Yeah.
that, like even like since they're born. So this kind of creates this mentality of like sexual
Yeah.
shame and shame
Yeah,
relating to
but
all of
that
this.
also comes from like, so like that's what I'm saying, like in school when they're giving you a, like, making you confident about your English or your education and everything, I feel like they don't give that much emphasis on their personality, like, and of course sex education is a big
Yeah.
part of it, and yeah, and even like different body shape. Like I was the healthiest in my class and I always felt conscious about that, and they don't teach
Mm.
that part as well. Like you will grow breasts in different size, not everyone's would look similar or stuff like that, and everybody is to be celebrated, and yeah, and all those things have to be taught in school, which it is not, and which is kind of sad. Yeah,
Yeah,
I wish they did.
definitely. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you. So what did you wish they taught you in school when you were going?
I think like what you said was about like different bodies because I was also like this bigger than other people. My body structure
Yeah,
is like huge.
it's
So
not,
every
but
girl is like small and
yeah,
slim and I used to like
yeah,
feel different. Cause and then I kind of because I used to hang around with my brother and I used to like play football and stuff like that. And or like games, and those days like girls don't play like I don't know
yeah,
GTA or something, or like cycle or like whatever. And then I was always like um seen as I mean people also thought I was a lesbian because of that, because I did things differently than them.
okay,
Yeah. Well, that should be
yeah,
taught. Like, it's okay to like have other interests than
yeah,
other girls, but yeah. And if they had like taught about like it's okay to be this way, like everybody is different, every
yeah,
shape is like body shape
yeah,
could be different. I think I would have felt
yeah.
more confident about myself. I also wish like they had taught you know these good touch
Oh
and bad
yeah,
touch.
yeah,
Like I think that starts from a
But
very
that's
early
what
age.
they should start, like sex
'Cause-
education early. So when we say sex education, we're not
Yeah.
saying teaching sex. Again, I'm pointing that out. We are talking about, as Pratika said, good touch, bad touch, early when they are like young kids. And then every 2 years making a revision. So
Yeah.
every 2 or 3 years, if they revise and upgraded that course, like a normal course, and what they should know at this age kind of thing, and that will kind of develop,
Yeah.
and they would know from a good resource,
Yeah.
and not like a internet, not porn, not something a friend said or their elder brother was teasing them or whatever. No, like they would know from the teacher who has best interest for them and things like that. So yeah. What I feel they should have taught, I think the 3 concrete things I wanted was, one is types of period products and how it actually is, like a diagram and proper like kind of explanation, but at least twice. Once when I
Like a demonstration with like physical like
like a dummy, or like
cervix
if they
like
have a
vagina.
yeah,
or
like a dummy,
yeah.
or they have like a something, how they have in doctors and hospitals or whatever. If they had brought something and they have shown us, and twice actually, I wanted that education twice. Once when I haven't gotten my periods, and the second time when I have gotten my periods. So maybe like in a class 6
yeah.
and maybe a class 8 or a 9th. So I have the a re-education once I have it and prepared for it and stuff. And the second thing would have been a contraception education about like what are why and what it does, and pills and injections, or IUD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like all these
Yeah.
options that today people have, and what are they beneficial for, and PCOS, and how the disease is related to your body, and
Yeah.
all this education, if they had just given me in school at least twice, thrice, because you forget, once you learn the first time, it's all, you're shy and everything. But if you give me education when I'm in 11th grade, give it to me, like teach me diseases, teach me sexual transmitted diseases, what type of diseases they are, what happens, how do you know, like give me like a PDF file to download, or give it to us in a CD or whatever, like give it to us, so, or like a printouts, so I can, if I don't remember the word or write down my notes, I can go home and read them and Google them, so I can refer back to something. Because they they give you so much information in half an hour or those 45 minutes, and they expect you to remember, but all of this is new to us, so we won't remember half the shit you said.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we will only pick up little bits, but to remember everything, I literally need it in writing somewhere, so I can go home and be like, oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
interesting, can I
Go back to
go
it.
back
and
to
then
it
refer
and see it, and then
Yeah.
maybe Google and find more things. But yeah, contraceptive period, and about the other gender, what do they go through, and yeah, if I had known better, I would have been so much more comfortable with them. And I want this education to be given to every
Yeah.
human being, regardless of their gender, so they know. And of course, it would have been up to us to have sex or not, but at least we knew what it entails.
If you liked our topic for this week and would like someone else to listen to this podcast and know more about this topic, please feel free to share. Also, if you have any thoughts regarding this topic and would like to suggest a new one for the future, please feel free to comment, discuss, or DM us or any of our social media platforms.
We are Browned Off by Society for Facebook, YouTube, and Insta, and Brown Society for Twitter. Or email us at brownedoffbysociety@gmail.com. Also, if you would like to know more about today's topic, head on to our Insta and Facebook. And finally, thank you for listening to us today, and see you next time. Bye!